Hello, good morning class. Last time we have started conjunctiva. Today we will start a part that is important from your exam point of view, theory as well as from clinical examination viva. The broad heading is inflammation of conjunctiva. You call it as a conjunctivitis. So inflammation of the conjunctiva is classically defined as conjunctival hyperemia associated with a discharge which may be watery, mucoid, mucopurulent or purulent. So the conjunctiva gives a reaction or response to the insult. The insult can be because of bacteria, because of virus or because of fungus. So inflammation of conjunctiva, it has hyperemia, secretion, chemosis, lid swelling, papillae, follicles, membrane formation. So these are the reactions of conjunctiva to the insult. And we are evaluating a case of conjunctivitis by type of discharge, the reaction of conjunctiva, and presence or absence of the lymphadenopathy. So these are some pictures that we are seeing in your conjunctival class. The first is membrane. It can be pseudomembrane or true membrane. The second picture shows allergic conjunctivitis, that is vernal catarrh, the name. The third is again a picture of allergic conjunctivitis, that is a limbal variety. And the fourth picture, that is showing the presence of follicles in the palpebral conjunctiva. So what is a discharge? So we are coming in across of the patient comes to our clinic with a complaint of discharge from his eyes. So according to the quantity and quality of the discharge, you can diagnose a thing. So the discharge can be watery, it can be mucinous, it can be mucoid or it can be mucopurulent, and the last thing is purulent. So the watery discharge, or sometimes it is called as a serous discharge also, that is seen in viral conjunctivitis or acute allergic conjunctivitis. Mucinous discharge is seen in spring catarrh. Then mucopurulent discharge is seen in mild bacterial or chlamydial infection. Purulent discharge is seen in severe acute bacterial infection. So this is the type of discharge. So in this picture, you can see a purulent severe acute bacterial infection. You can see yellowish discharge at the lid at the canthus, and you can see the matting of eyelashes also. So you should know what is the conjunctival reaction. So this can be asked for your short note. Papilla. What is a papilla? So it is a vascular structure invaded by inflammatory cells. Hyperplasia of conjunctival epithelium, that is thrown into numerous folds or projections with central vessels, and a diffuse infiltrate of chronic inflammatory cells. This is called as a papilla. It is a non-specific, so it has a less diagnostic value. Generally, it is seen in vernal catarrh and giant papillary conjunctivitis. So this is the picture of a papilla. You can call it as a hyperplasia of normal system of vascularization. When you evert the lead, you can see on the palpebral conjunctiva the hyperplasia of the vascularization. Follicles. Then coming to the follicles, these are the round swellings. They are in 0.5 to 2 millimeter in diameter. These are localized aggregation of lymphocytes. Each follicle is encircled by tiny blood vessel. Lack of adenoid layer in newborn, because in newborns the adenoid layer is not formed before 2 to 3 months of age. So in a newborn you can't get a follicular response. The follicles are seen in follicular conjunctivitis, trachoma. It can be a reaction because of the toxins or side effect of some drugs. This is how a follicle looks: round swelling, So severity and duration of inflammation will tell that it is a follicular response, that is localized aggregation, just I have mentioned, and each follicle is encircled by a tiny blood vessel. It looks like a boiled sago grain, साबुदाण्यासारखे ते spot दिसतात. Generally you have to evert the lid, or you can pull the lower lid down and you can examine the follicles. Sometimes you can see the signs of necrosis. Follicles, it is a diagnostic sign in trachoma. Four main causes of follicles, they are because of viral infections, chlamydial infections, paranoid oculoglandular syndrome, and hypersensitivity to topical medications. Then the response or reaction of the conjunctiva we have seen in a form of membrane. So you should know what is a true membrane and what is pseudomembrane. The fibrinous exudate over and within the conjunctival epithelium is called as a true membrane. It can't be peeled easily, and it occurs when bleeding occurs when you want to remove the membrane. Pseudomembrane, it has a fibrinous exudate over the surface of conjunctiva. If you try to separate or you want to peel the membrane, it is separated easily and there is no bleeding while separating the pseudomembrane. So what are the risk factors for the development of bacterial conjunctivitis? Disruption of host defense mechanism is caused by dryness of eyes or dry eyes, exposure to the surroundings because of lid retraction, exophthalmos, lag ophthalmos, or inadequate blinking, and nutritional deficiencies. These are the risk factors for the development of bacterial conjunctivitis. Local or systemic immune deficiency, nasolacrimal duct obstruction, radiation damage, trauma, and surgery. Then prior conjunctival inflammation, systemic infection, and exogenous inoculation. All these are the risk factors for the development of bacterial conjunctivitis. So conjunctivitis, it is inflammation of the conjunctiva, conjunctival hyperemia associated with a discharge, and that can be watery, mucoid, mucopurulent, and also there can be lymph nodes or lymphadenopathy. So conjunctival reaction with hyperemia, chemosis, lid swelling, papillae, follicles, type of discharge, and lymphadenopathy, you can diagnose a case of conjunctivitis. So for the classification, so it can be a, you can say, question of 6 marks for you. Describe or write down the classification of conjunctivitis. So you have to mention that is based on the onset, or you can have a based on type of exudate, then based on conjunctival reaction, and based on etiology. So type of conjunctivitis, you can call it as a infectious conjunctivitis. It can be because of bacterial conjunctivitis. So bacterial conjunctivitis, so you can have acute bacterial conjunctivitis, hyperacute bacterial conjunctivitis, chronic bacterial conjunctivitis, and angular bacterial conjunctivitis. From chlamydial conjunctivitis variety, you can have a trachoma, adult inclusion conjunctivitis, neonatal chlamydial conjunctivitis. Viral conjunctivitis includes adenovirus conjunctivitis, enterovirus conjunctivitis, molluscum contagious conjunctivitis, and herpes simplex conjunctivitis. Ophthalmia neonatum is a separate entity, then granulomatous conjunctivitis. So infective conjunctivitis consists of all these. Then you can have a allergic conjunctivitis. It can be simple allergic conjunctivitis, vernal keratoconjunctivitis, atopic keratoconjunctivitis, and GPC means giant papillary conjunctivitis. Then flactinular conjunctivitis. Cicatricial conjunctivitis consists of ocular mucous membrane pemphigoid, Stevens-Johnson syndrome, toxic epidermal necrolysis, and secondary cicatricial conjunctivitis. And the last variety is toxic conjunctivitis. So here we are seeing one part, that is infective conjunctivitis, bacterial conjunctivitis. So in infectious variety, you can have a bacterial, that is a Staphylococcus aureus. It is because of Staphylococcus albus, Haemophilus aegyptius, Haemophilus influenzae, Neisseria gonorrhoeae, Neisseria meningitidis, Streptococcus, Klebsiella, E. coli. The one important point in bacterial, you have to think that Neisseria gonorrhoeae, they have the ability to invade the normal intact corneal epithelium. So the conjunctivitis because of Neisseria gonorrhoeae is a dangerous one. Already I have mentioned about this non-infectious, that is allergic, endogenous, dry eye, toxic. Factitious is a variety that is called as because of self-inflicted. Already I have mentioned about this infectious conjunctivitis. Again, it is acute catarrhal or mucopurulent, acute purulent. So purulent conjunctivitis of newborn is called as ophthalmia neonatorum, and acute purulent conjunctivitis of adult is, unless proved otherwise, it is because of Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Then you can have acute membranous conjunctivitis and chronic conjunctivitis. So bacterial conjunctivitis coming, so it can be for your short note. So bacterial conjunctivitis, there is a relative decrease in the incidence of bacterial conjunctivitis in general, but the outbreaks of bacterial conjunctivitis epidemics are frequent during monsoon season. The condition is commonly seen in children. It may affect any age group. The incubation period is 24 to 48 hours. So you can make in a tablet form predisposing factors for the bacterial conjunctivitis, then mode of infection and causative organisms. So predisposing factors, they are flies, poor personal hygiene, hot dry climate, poor sanitation and dirty habits. These factors help in the infection to establish as the disease is highly contagious. The causative organisms are Staphylococcus aureus. It is the most common cause of bacterial conjunctivitis and blepharoconjunctivitis. Staphylococcus epidermidis is an innocuous flora of lead. It can also produce blepharoconjunctivitis. Then Streptococcus pneumoniae, that is pneumococcus. It produces acute conjunctivitis usually associated with petechial hemorrhages. Then Streptococcus pyogenes, that is Haemolyticus. Haemophilus influenzae. It classically causes epidemics of mucopurulent conjunctivitis, and that is known as red eye. Then you can have Moraxella lacuminata. It causes angular conjunctivitis. Pseudomonas pyocena is a virulent organism. It invades the cornea also. Neisseria gonorrhoeae typically produces acute purulent conjunctivitis. Neisseria meningitis may produce mucopurulent conjunctivitis. And then Corynebacterium diphtheria. It causes acute membranous conjunctivitis. But they are rare in today's practice. So mode of infection can be exogenous, it can be local spread, and it can be endogenous. So bacterial conjunctivitis, so there are some predisposing factors, there are causative organisms, and mode of infection, it is because of exogenous, local spread, or endogenous. The exogenous infections may spread directly through the contact, through vector transmission, through material transmission, that is called as a fomites. So infected fingers of doctors, nurses, common towels, handkerchiefs, tonometers, they all cause exogenous spread of an infection. Local spread is because of the from neighboring structures, that is infected lacrimal sac, then infected leads and nasopharynx. Endogenous infections may occur very rarely through blood, that is gonococcal and meningococcal infections. Bacterial conjunctivitis, what is the pathology? The pathological changes, they are vascular response, cellular response, conjunctival tissue response and conjunctival discharge. So in vascular response, you have congestion and increased permeability of the vessels. So conjunctival vessels are permeable. There is a proliferation of capillaries also. So in cellular response, it is the form of exudation of polymorphonuclear cells and other inflammatory cells into the substantia propria. Conjunctival tissue response, conjunctiva becomes edematous, the superficial epithelial cells degenerate, become loose and even desquamate. Conjunctival discharge, it consists of tears, mucus, inflammatory cells, desquamated epithelial cell, fibrin and bacteria. If the inflammation is very severe, there is a diapedesis of red blood cells and there can be a blood stained discharge from the conjunctiva. Severity of pathological changes varies depending upon the severity of inflammation and the causative organism. The changes are more marked in purulent conjunctivitis than mucopurulent conjunctivitis. In this picture, you can see the melting of eyelashes and the conjunctival congestion that is present in the bulbar conjunctiva as well as in the fornacial conjunctiva. The disease is caused by Staphylococcus aureus and Pneumococcus, Streptococcus. Just I have mentioned all the organisms present in the conjunctiva. What are the clinical features? So you can write the symptoms as well as signs. So there can be two forms. Mild form, you can have a minimum symptoms. The patient can come to our OPD with hyperemia or redness of the eyes. Then there can be tags of mucus at canthi. In severe form, it reaches its peak in 3 to 4 days. Discomfort in the eye, glowing of the eyelashes or mating of the eyelashes of upper lid and lower lid. Then there can be photophobia and there can be colored halos. So this is a Viva question for you. Kindly tell us the three things or three diseases, three diagnoses in which condition you get a colored halos. So one of the condition is mucopurulent conjunctivitis where you can see colored halos. The patient can complain he is seeing colored halos. The colored halos are seen because of the prismatic, because this mucus acts as a prism. So when the light passes through this discharge, you get colored halos. So the homework is which are the other two conditions where you get colored halos. Acute mucopurulent conjunctivitis. So in this picture you can see the conjunctiva, that is a palpebral conjunctiva. Then you can have a tarsal conjunctiva, orbital conjunctiva, fornacial conjunctiva and bulbar conjunctiva. So all these part gets inflamed because of the insult, because of the bacteria. So there is a cellular response, there is a vascular response, there is a conjunctival tissue response and there is a conjunctival discharge. All these causes a type of discharge and there can be a lymphadenopathy. There can be papillae, there can be follicle, there can be membrane. So in infectious conjunctivitis, a wide variety of etiological agents, they can cause infection. It can be acute or chronic with mucopurulent discharge. In acute infective type of conjunctivitis, you can see hyperemia of bulbar conjunctiva and papillary hypertrophy of the papillary conjunctiva that is associated with mucopurulent discharge. There is edematous lids, accumulation of mucus and matting of eyelashes. The signs, you can call it as a fiery red conjunctiva. The circumciliary zone or the circumciliary conjunctiva is not red. So redness present only in the palpebral and fornical conjunctiva and at the bulbar conjunctiva. The terminology is used as a fiery red conjunctiva. Then papillary hypertrophy you can see, and congestion of vessels at fornices. Here you can, last time I have given a homework, write the differences between conjunctival congestion and ciliary congestion. So you can very well remember the conjunctival congestion. So conjunctival congestion is present at the periphery. It is bright red in color, and you can see or you can blot the vessels. Bleaching of conjunctival vessels can occur. So this is present in conjunctival congestion. So ciliary congestion, it is around the limbus. It is circumcorneal congestion. It is a dusky red and you can't empty the vessels. These are the differences. So just we have seen acute mucopurulent conjunctivitis. It is having a mild form and severe form. These are the pictures that will tell you the fiery red conjunctiva, papillary hypertrophy, congestion, edematous lid. It is again repeated. What are the complications? Untreated conjunctivitis, it passes into chronic phase. The staphylococcal mucopurulent conjunctivitis may cause superficial punctate keratitis, means involvement of the cornea can occur. Pneumococcal conjunctivitis may show petechial hemorrhages on bulbar conjunctiva also. What is the treatment? The treatment based on two principles. First is frequent irrigation of the conjunctival cul-de-sac to remove the discharge and control of the infection. The topical antibiotics to control the infection constitute the main treatment of acute bacterial conjunctivitis. Generally, we have to do a culture and sensitivity test, but in routine practice, we are using a broad spectrum antibiotics. You can start generally for chloramphenicol, gentamicin, but in today's world, what we are following, generally we are using moxifloxacin eye drops. So broad spectrum eye drops, they are used in the morning hours and antibiotic eye ointment at bedtime. So it will cover, antibiotic cover will provide at night as well as it helps to reduce the early morning stickiness of the lashes. So there is no gluing of eyelashes if you use antibiotic eye ointment at bedtime. Then you have to give an irrigation of conjunctiva, but frequent eye wash is avoided because it will wash away the lysozyme and other protective proteins present in the tears. Dark goggles also are advised, but there should not be bandage. Bandage should not be applied in patients with mucopurulent conjunctivitis. This is also a viva question for you. The examiner can ask you why there should not be bandage in a case of conjunctivitis. So, because the bandage produces warmth and warmth will cause increase in the bacterial colonization. So exposure to air keeps the temperature of conjunctival sac low and which inhibits the bacterial growth. And so bandaging is contraindicated. The conjunctival sac, because of bandaging, is converted into an incubator. An infection flares to severe degree within 24 hours. So in a conjunctivitis case, bandage is contraindicated. So we are seeing there is a endemic, there is epidemic, and can be a pandemic. So prophylaxis is important because it is a contagious disease. So you have to check the spread in family and community. So you can use a Buller shield. You can ask the patient to have a sleeping position. It should be opposite. Means if he has left eye conjunctivitis, he should sleep on his left side to avoid the spread of infection from left eye to the right eye. Then in case of children, you have to ask them to avoid the fomites. Fomites means exchange of articles. It can be a pencil, it can be an eraser. So this can have a prophylactic effect of stopping the spread of conjunctivitis in family and in community. You have to improve the personal hygiene, washing of the hands. Just like we are in a corona, stay home, stay safe all the time we are telling. So in corona we can get a conjunctivitis patient. So you have to be very careful for the patients because it can infect other persons in the family as well as in the community. So these are the some pictures that is also important in today's coronavirus pandemic. Disinfection of all surfaces including worktops, sinks and doorknobs, constant hand washing, and 5 moments of touch you have to follow: before touching a patient, after touching a patient, before examination, after examination, and when you are in contact with the patient at the bedside. So you have to wash your hands. That is the 5 moments of touch you have to follow. Then prevention: change the bed linen and towels daily if possible. This will be a preventive aspect. Wash your hands frequently, particularly after applying medications to the area, that is after putting the eye drops. So in today's world now, we are preferring this namaste. Sorry, I don't shake hands. So all over the world, the Indian practice of greeting a people with folding their hands in front of their chest, saying namaste. So this is a all over it is a following. So it reduces the touch. So you have to follow all these principles and the practices, safe practices, to prevent the spread of conjunctivitis, whether it is a bacterial or viral. Thank you.